So this morning, a little bit ago, I just woke up and had not a rapture dream, but a dream that felt symbolic. It felt significant, and it might just be from God. I don't know, but either way, I still think that it would be nice to talk about. So, in my dream, I was at church camp. In real life, I grew up going to church camp. It meant a lot to me. But, anyways, so in the dream, I was at church camp, but a lot had changed. It was very different. It was now very commercialized. There were all kinds of little booths and tents and all these little areas to purchase things like cookies and drinks. And there were also some like prizes that could be redeemed with points. There was like toys and candy and all this stuff. And they weren't hard to get. But my friend was there, and he was dressed real nice. At least this was his attempt of what he thought he should wear, because he wasn't used to it. Because he must have just got saved in this dream. I don't know why else he would be there. He was at least giving it a try, I assume. So that was a big deal. He was wearing tan khakis. I don't know. It just felt a little over the top. Like, oh, what do people wear at these church things? Something fancy. And for some reason, I think we had these like me and him both had these like weird like pink fluffy sashes wrapped around us. That was really random. It might not mean anything. I don't know. One of my friends from camp was there, and he was throwing these huge water balloons at me. So I was throwing some back. We were having fun. My pastor was there. He was like fixing a light or something, and then he was talking to me. And he's kind of tall, so I was like actually standing on a crate. So then we were at eye level. Um, let's see. I was in this little like snack area. I mean, I guess it was pretty large just for what it was, being at this camp thing. But like this little snack area where they had a few sections to order food. Just very simple. Like no cash registers or whatever. You just kind of like hand the people standing there money, and they hand you something. That kind of thing. Just very simple. But I didn't notice there were prices written next to the cookies. I just assumed they were free, so I saw half a cookie sitting there, and I picked it up and ate it. And then, I wanted another one, so I grabbed a full cookie and ate it. And then a little bit later, I noticed that one of the booths, one of the spots to order food next to it, they had this like nice Patrick Star plush, and it was $16, which is kind of expensive, but it was like super high quality, so it was actually not that bad of a deal. And I wanted to buy it, and then I realized the cookies were. I know this is a lot of random stuff. I'm just trying to go over everything that I remember from my dream. But anyways, I noticed the cookies weren't actually free. They were $1 each. And even though I only had 1.5 cookies, I gave them $2. Because it's like, just give them two instead of like $1.50. Like, I don't know. This is just how it went. And it turned out that I misread the tag on the plush because it was actually only $10, not 16. Yeah. And it was also the last one they had, so I bought it. The people working had made a comment to me that I got a good deal because it was Wednesday now, halfway through the week. Camp starts Monday, ends Friday. So apparently, in this dream, how it worked was each day they would lower the prices on things the longer the week went on. I guess just that logic of like, the longer it's here, the less likely it will be to sell. I don't know. So while a lot of this stuff at this camp costs money, it was generally overall a pretty good deal, pretty cheap stuff, for the most part, and they weren't like strict on like making sure, like being like paying super close attention, making sure everyone paid and all that, just kind of very loose and whatever. And of course they were always lowering prices. Another person that I recognized from camp was there walking around. Let's see. I don't know if we were the ages we are now, or if we weren't. I want to say we were like teenagers, like probably 17. Uh, Not sure. At one point, someone told me there was a ball in a fire pit that fell in there. In this, like, I don't know, some kind of fire pit. Don't know how to explain that, but sorry, it's like early for me. But someone told me that there was a ball that just fell in that fire pit, hoping that I could get it out, maybe. But I went over towards it, and that girl was like, "Oh nope, never mind." As we could easily see that the ball was like quickly, like rapidly inflating due to the heat, like it was about to burst. And it was one of those, like, I think it was like a kickball kind of balls, like a heavier duty one. And I think it was red. Yeah, I believe it was red, normal size ball. But anyways, it quickly expanded, and everyone was watching, anticipating seeing it burst, and it did. And it was a burst of water that exploded out of it. Kind of strange. So I'm not sure if this dream is from God or means anything, but the fact that I was easily able to remember so many specific details like that, in the like details like that, it was in the middle of the week on a Wednesday, like specifically Wednesday, and I ate 1.5 cookies. Like, that's really specific. And I even remember this toy that I saw you could get that had a sticker on it saying you could redeem it to get it using 90 points. So you could redeem that for 90 points. And I looked at what else you could get for points. It was a decent prize you could get for, it was this unopened action figure they had from the 90s, that was the highest prize. There were only a few other things I saw listed below it for prizes that you could redeem, like a candy bar for 30 points. So, like, having the toy only being 3 candy bars worth of that, in points, kind of impressed me, because it's like, it's not much of a difference, and that's, it's really easy to get, I don't think it was hard to get points, however that worked at camp. I know this is probably really weird and confusing, but I just want to kind of talk about all of this that I remember. So I'm not sure if the friend I mentioned at the beginning of the dream is going to get saved. I don't know if that's why he appeared here. Not sure. That 90s action figure that required 90 points to redeem. I don't know, but I think maybe those 90s mean something. Maybe something to do with redemption, because you have to redeem those, like us being redeemed in Christ. I'm grasping at straws here, but maybe the 9s with the 90s, maybe the 9s have a connection to September being the 9th month. Our redemption draws near. September redemption, rapture in September, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch. And speaking of stretch, the ball exploding with water immediately reminded me of, like, even in my dream, it made me think of this, I'm pretty sure, the water volcano dream, that rapture dream I had. Like, this water bursting from the ball, like, the heat from the fire being so intense that it couldn't hold it long. Once the ball was in there, it was inflating quick. There was no stopping it, and then quickly it burst and water came out for some reason, even though there was no reason for water to be in there. And I'm just thinking about it, and it's like, well, that's just like the volcano. There was no reason for... Why would there be water in a volcano? Like, just why would there be water bursting out of this ball like it burst out of the volcano? So there's a weird connection there, I think. The idea of church camp being commercialized reminds me of how Jesus had to bring a whip to the temple. Maybe this camp getting so commercialized symbolizes how many churches in these last days are perhaps getting maybe a little too similar to the very same place that Jesus flipped tables at. Like, I never even went to church in this dream, at church camp. All we did was play games and buy stuff. Like, at my actual church camp, we went to church at least, like, 3 times a day for a week, There was a lot of church, but there was, like, no church that I can recall in this dream. But I'm out of time. God bless you guys. Peace.